in the country. And who could tell us we were not open to international community in so small territory like Kosovo, with so huge verification mission, OSCE and UNHCR, International Red Cross, all journalists, diplomats, and every road open to everybody. But that was not the goal. The goal was how to create instability and how to start bombing. In Rambouillet, as I said to you, we are not talking to Albanians. We are talking to Americans who would like to take our territory for themselves and for NATO. And Albanians were just excused for that. They were keeping them in a side room to be their alibi for doing those crimes which your government committed against our country and our people. And victims are not selectively chosen. Everybody is a victim. Predominantly children, women, old people, civilians. Civilians, civilians, and civilians. That's that.
Are you willing, and as part of an agreement, to reinstitute autonomy for Kosovo, similar to the autonomy that they had in 1989, up until 1989?
Of course, we will not change our position because of one simple fact. We had never any intention to cut any right to Albanians. They are our citizens. We don't have any idea to make damage to them.
But it is clear they are living in this country. They cannot make part of territory of this country and turn it into independent state. If that formula, which was tried to be deployed here, get into practice in the world, I don't see any state in the world who could survive. Look to Europe. Mm-hmm. Look to Spain, look to France, look to Belgium, look to Italy, look to Africa. In Africa, there is no one single country who could survive if you allow that kind of separation movements to take, let us say, a kind of legal support. So, if that becomes practice, no one country will be safe. So we are not confronting that big power only in a position that we are defending ourselves. I think we are defending a right to be free and to be independent and right to live in peace. That is what we are doing.
Are you willing also, as part of some kind of negotiated settlement, to accept some kind of international presence that will verify for the world community that the things that were agreed to in terms of the autonomy for the Albanians and the rights of all citizens of Kosovo are being equitably implemented?
Of course, we are ready to accept a UN civilian mission. Of course, without representatives of the countries who participated aggression against our country. We said that clearly. We are ready for that. We have nothing to hide.
And you're willing also to allow the international aid and charity missions to come back and do their jobs?
Absolutely. They are even now allowed to come back. But they are afraid. We never send them out. They were afraid from bombing. That is one of the explanations why they didn't stay in Kosovo, let us say, International Red Cross. They stayed everywhere in conflicts. But how to be safe from bombing? They fled Kosovo as civilians as well. They were not sent away. They simply went away to save their lives. Who can be protected by bombing?
And you're saying that even now, while the bombing is going on, if the international Humanitarian Red Cross or other agencies want to come back to Kosovo, even now they would be allowed to come back?
Even now, International Red Cross and UNHCR can get back. I cannot tell you for every single humanitarian organization because of some so-called humanitarian organizations were organized to support terrorism or to support separation movement, being under coverage of that so-called humanitarian task. Our police arrested a couple of Australian care belongers who were organized spying network in Yugoslavia. They admitted that in front of camera. They said they are very sorry. They said that that was big damage to our country. They were spying for NATO to explain where are positions they have to bomb, what was the result of their bombing, and so on. They explain even that they have abused domestic personnel for that. So we believe that International Red Cross and UNHCR can cover all those needs if they want to help to refugees. And that is something which was never under any question. They can come whenever they want.
One more thing that the American people are very concerned about, President Milosevic, is the fact that 3 Americans are being held as prisoners of war here. Can you assure the American people that they are in good health, all 3, and that all 3 of them are being cared for in a humane way?
Well, in the situation in which we are, I think the question must be, what with those civilians who are the victims of your soldiers and your pilots? And I hope that you will start thinking that way. But to answer your question, we are very old people in Europe, very old, with a long tradition, and we are respecting prisoners of war. Nothing will happen to your soldiers. They are treated well, they are healthy, and in everything what exists, Geneva Convention is respected. So we are civilized people. We are not to make any damage to your guys who are in prison.
It's important. One of the big criticisms that President Clinton continues to say almost every time he speaks on this issue is the refusal of your government to allow the Red Cross to come and see these prisoners as the Geneva Conventions provide for. What's your reason for not allowing the Red Cross to see
I think that Red Cross can visit them. I don't know that they were not allowed. I don't know where is Red Cross who asked for that. If there is a Red Cross mission that is under Geneva Convention, they can see them. That is not the question at all. They can, I'm not expert for Geneva Convention, but as I know, they can receive mail from their families. They must have medical care and all
But
conditions.
Your position is you would allow the Red Cross to see these prisoners?
Red Cross is always authorized to visit prisoners of war. Of course, not every day, but from time to time, as it was in a rules of army. But those rules are in compliance with the Geneva Convention. That is not the question. I don't see that problem that way.
One last question. We hear rumors in Belgrade from various people that many more aircraft have been shot down than the American press or the American administration admits to, that maybe as many as 80 airplanes have been downed, that there might be other pilots of NATO countries and the United States that have been made prisoners because of this. We've also heard rumors that your forces in Kosovo have already engaged in firefights with the special forces from the United States and special air services from the UK and have killed maybe 20, 24 of these kind of special soldiers that have come into Kosovo. Is this just a rumor, or are these facts?
You know, that is not black and white. I cannot tell you that it is just a rumor or that is just a fact. That is mixed. Some are facts, some are rumors. And it is so logical that NATO will not admit that. They have tried even to avoid, to acknowledge killing of those refugees. But when they saw that that was unavoidable, they said, yes, that happened. So it is so logical. For now, for the time being, we had no foreign troops in our territory, even those specialists you have mentioned. We had several tries of Albanian soldiers, of Albanian army mixed with those bandits from Kosovo in the units composed of, let us say, 1,000 or 1,500 to get through the frontier and to penetrate into territory of Kosovo. And they were stopped by our army. They had a very big losses. They are not the army, I must tell you. And whoever is combining with recruiting those criminals into a kind of military units doesn't know a lot about them. They would escape in on a first shot, always. And they show that. Whenever they have tried to get in through the borders, they were running away back. So that happened several times. If there were some instructors with them, foreign origin, that was not seen so far. But they are instructing them in Tropoja, in Kux, in some other places. They are, of course, violating UN Security Council resolution prohibiting delivery of arms. So that is something which is so logical in a situation when practically United Nations are abolished by your country. United Nations Charter prohibits aggression, prohibits even any military intervention without decision of Security Council. In this case, you abolished United Nations. Practically, your bombing destroyed first United Nations, destroyed the truth. And of course, what is the most sad thing for us, killing our civilians and ruining our factories, bridges, housing area, residential area, and all those things. And you know, I will add something. What was the message, printed message in many rallies all around Yugoslavia, and I saw many of that in other countries. For example, in Thessalonica, there were 1 million people in demonstration, million. In Athens, about that figure, and so on. In Hamburg, in Düsseldorf, in Vienna, in many places around. And one printed message was very illustrative. Stop bombing, stop lying. Those two things are done together. And that is explanation of those two wars you're running against one small, sovereign, independent country 5,000 miles away from your coast. For what? Could you explain to me for what and what is American national interest? And you are trying to tell us that your national interest is stronger in our ancient territory than Serbian national interest in Serbian ancient territory. And you are doing so. For what? Where is the reason for that? when our soldiers are dying, they know why they are dying. They are dying for their homeland, for their fatherland. And for what will die your soldiers? 5,000 miles from home, killing children until they sleep, killing women and girls and peaceful citizens, and ruining what we were building through the decades after Second World War. And to absurd be the bigger we were allies in those wars. And you decided to support that separation process, that separation movement, which is in its character Nazi movement. I will tell you why, quite clearly. Their publicly declared aim is ethnically pure Kosovo. That is Nazi character. We in Yugoslavia, we know very well, having 26 national communities, that only basis for successful life of this country is respect to the principle of national equality. No other way. And that is the main principle in this country, composed of 26 national communities. And of course, ethnically pure Kosovo, that separation movement explains as a Nazi character. And in a historical sense, they are followers, in a historical term, the Mussolini created Greater Albania in Second World War, fascist creation, which took at that time part of Kosovo, part of Macedonia, and part of Greece. And that was so-called Greater Albania created by Mussolini. So their Nazis and fascist character is very clear. But I want to tell you again, we are making a big difference between that separation movement and Albanian people living in our country. And we want to help people. And of course, to eliminate separation movement, as any country in the world. I think that there is at least now 100 countries in the world which have problems with some kind of separation movement. But only this country is bombed by strongest and most powerful war machinery ever existed in the world. And who will gain a glory with all those powerful and high technology ruining one small independent country, member of UN? And what will the world look like after that practice? World has to be free. Every country, every people has a right to live in freedom, not to be occupied or terrorized by superpowers who will tell them how to live, what to do, what to think, and how to behave. So we cannot divide peace from freedom. If people want to live in peace, must be free. And here, on a territory about which empires were fighting through the centuries, through all our history, there is no one generation who was not fighting for freedom. And we were always conquered by empires, by very big empires. Ottoman empires, or Austro-Hungarian empires, or Hitler, big war machinery. But every time we liberated our country. And that is what we are doing now. And I believe in future. I believe in peace, in equality, in freedom, not only of this country, of all countries, without domination of powers. They are dominant enough being superpowers. They don't need other additional domination to the rest of the world. So I believe that we used all our time, at least 1 hour, I would say.
President Milosevic, I would like to thank you on behalf of the American people for sharing your views with us today, and let's hope that we can end this problem peacefully very soon. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Jel gotovo?
Thank you. President Milosevic, I want to thank you for agreeing to meet with me today in a time when there's great difficulties between our two countries. I think that our conversation today will help the American people understand a little bit better what is happening here in Serbia and what the Serbian point of view in this conflict is. First of all, as you know, in the American press, you're not pictured very well. President Clinton says that you are the butcher of the Balkans. He says that you're another Hitler, that you're a madman, that you're the cause of all the problems that we've had here in the Balkans for the last 10 years. Who are you really? Who are you as a person?
Well, good question. It gives me the opportunity to explain to American audience what the problem is. And the problem is following. Your government is running 2 wars against Yugoslavia, against our people. One is military war, and a lot of journalists from abroad in this country will help to the world to know the truth about our country.
I think that's true. I think the American people would like to know a little bit more, though, about you as a person. I mean, have you always been a politician? Have you always been in politics?
No, I was not politician. I was professionally working in industry for a long time, and then I was banker. And I was banker for 8 years. I was president of largest 35 Madison Avenue, just the opposite of General Motors building, working 20 years. But last several years, of course, that was frozen. And that was a pity for development of our relations, no doubt.
How do you see the future of the Yugoslav economy in terms of it being integrated into the world trading community and into the free enterprise system of the world?
Well, our orientation towards market economy was clear even in former Yugoslavia. And we want to be open and to cooperate much better results. When I was in Dayton and when we were talking about
the immediate cause of the problems between our two countries, according to President Clinton, is the failure of Yugoslavia to agree to the terms of the negotiations in France, first at Rambouillet and then later at Paris. Why was it that Yugoslavia did not sign that agreement?
You used the word negotiated. There were no negotiations at all. And your audience have to know that. In all those 3 long weeks, 2 in Rambouillet and 1 in Paris, it downgraded its dignity, making alliance with those killers and drug dealers. And I think that that kind of alliance cannot have the future.
The American people, though, every day see on their television all of these heart-wrenching scenes of the Albanian refugees. The United Nations says now that there are over 532,000 that have left Kosovo, and they appear to be in very traumatized type conditions. Is it your policy to expel all Albanians from Kosovo?
There was never policy of this country and my policy to expel minorities. And we always had in mind that test for any democracy is treatment of minority, not treatment of majority. Everybody is running. Deers are running, birds are running, everybody is running away because of bombing.
How do you
Bees are running Everybody is running away, and who can really ask to understand that civilian population cannot play the role of heroes, staying on in their places when bombs are getting down. Here, he must believe to propaganda. He must believe to those piles of lies which are broadcast every day.
Well, you know, that's one of the things about the media. We had a comedian in America in the 1920s, 1930s named Will Rogers that said, "All I know is what I read in the newspapers." Well, to modernize that, all the American people know is what they see on television and the images that they see on television. So how do you explain the fact that many of these refugees from Kosovo are talking about, we were driven out of our homes by the Serbs, the Serbs come and knock on our door, tell us that we have to leave within 10 minutes, and they take all of our possessions, and we have to leave. How do you explain when the American, or actually the NATO briefer, Jamie Shea, shows pictures on television that says, here are satellite pictures of what we believe to be mass graves? How do you explain these things?
Well, those who you saw on TV were told to say that.
By whom?
And by UČK, by that people, by those killers, rapers, and kidnappers who are not terrorizing only Serbs and other non-Albanian population in Kosovo. They are terrorizing Albanians as well. I must tell you, it is a tragic situation with Albanians in Kosovo. They are manipulated and they are terrorized by those killers and kidnappers, those rapers, those narco dealers. And that was explanation for informations from CNN. We are looking to CNN. Practically everybody can see CNN all the time. CNN, Sky, BBC, everything is seen here. So nothing special. They are paid to lie, which is going on despite that bombing is bombing.
Let's talk about the political process. Obviously, there are a lot of people on both sides of this issue, even people in America that are concerned about continuing a maximum position of NATO and trying to solve this thing solely by military means, because they think the cost in terms of economic costs and in terms of the human cost, both to your country and to our country, may be much higher than either one of our peoples want to pay. And so I think both peoples would like to see some kind of political settlement to this situation. And if we hold to the maximum positions that each side has right now, there may not be any progress. It will delay progress. So what do you see as a possibility for some negotiated political settlement of this problem in the near term?
Well, I believe that when aggression stops, when bombing stops, then it will be very easy to continue political process. But taking into account civilians, and civilians, does that.
Are you willing, and as part of an agreement, to reinstitute autonomy for Kosovo, similar to the autonomy that they had in 1989, up until 1989?
Of course, we will not change our position because of one simple fact. We had never any intention to cut any right to Albanians. They are our citizens. We don't have any idea to make damage to them. But it is clear they are living in this country. They cannot make part of territory of this country and turn it into independent state. If that formula, which was tried to be deployed here, get into practice in the world, and to be independent and right to live in peace, that is what we are doing.
Are you willing also, as part of some kind of negotiated settlement, to accept some kind of international presence that will verify for the world community that the things that were agreed to in terms of the autonomy for the Albanians and the rights of all citizens of Kosovo are being equitably implemented?
Of course, we are ready to accept UN civilian mission. Of course, without representatives of the countries who participated aggression against our country. We said that clearly. We are ready for that. We have nothing to hide, and to be independent and right to live in peace. That is what we are doing.
Are you willing also, as part of some kind of negotiated settlement, to accept some kind of international presence that will verify for the world community that the things that were agreed to in terms of the autonomy for the Albanians and the rights of all citizens of Kosovo are being equitably implemented?
Of course, we are ready to accept UN civilian mission. Of course, without representatives of the countries who participated aggression against our country. We said that clearly. We are ready for that. We have nothing to hide.
And you're willing also to allow the international aid and charity missions to come back and do their jobs?
Absolutely. They are even now allowed to come back. But they are afraid. We never send them out. They were afraid from bombing. That is one of the explanations why they didn't stay in Kosovo. Let us say International Red Cross went away to save their lives. Who can be protected by bombing?
And you're saying that even now, while the bombing is going on, if the international Humanitarian Red Cross or other agencies want to come back to Kosovo, even now they would be allowed to come back?
Even now, International Red Cross and UNHCR can get back. I cannot tell you for every single humanitarian organization because of some